of lectures, I'm basing everything that I'm saying on these two words. One is structure, the second is strategy. So before I go into today's session, this or these two words or concepts don't exist on their own. There is a very definite purpose for which we use these two things, which we can express in the form of a very simple equation. When we understand structure, what is the game being played, and when we work out a strategy to get the best from the existing structure, the result is power. I didn't want to introduce this equation till now. Just wanted to give you a taste by giving you some examples, earlier examples of what structure and strategy are all about. But now we are coming to much more important subjects where we are using structure and strategy. And structure, understanding the actual situation, having a strategy to exploit that situation, you get a lot of power in your hands. You get a lot of power in your hands. So this is what I want to talk to you about today. And I'll be talking to you about this in the context of actual examples and concepts from both economics as well as finance as well as investment. So we will start today with, keeping this in mind, we will start today with loans. There are two types of loans. One are open-ended loans. The other are term loans. Term, the very word term. I finished my first term exams. Term means a particular period, something that has a life. There is a start date and end date. My BCom degree is of 3 years. 3 years is the term I have to spend in college to get a BCom degree. You have heard of housing loans. Can be 10 years, 5 years, as per your choice, 20 years, 30 years. In fact, in the so-called advanced countries, the 30-year mortgage, what we call housing loans in India, are called mortgages in the United States. 30-year mortgage is the standard. That is the standard. So, but even if it is 30 years, it's a term. If you keep paying the monthly installment, what is called the equated monthly installment or EMI, you know that in the 30th year, 30 years into 12 months, 360. So there is installment number 1, there is installment number 360. If all these installments are paid correctly and on time, installment 360, this loan is ended, extinguished. What are open-ended loans? There is no term. These are the most dangerous. Personal loans, credit card debt, overdrafts. If at all you want to take a loan, always take this and avoid this completely, because this can lead you into a debt trap. If you are paying the interest on these loans correctly, and if you are enjoying a 1 lakh loan, seeing that the company that is giving you this money is getting good interest from you, they themselves will approach you to increase that 1 lakh to a little more. Then it becomes 2 lakhs, then it becomes 3 lakhs. One day you find yourself in a debt trap. Never make that mistake. If you have to take loans, choose carefully and take only a term loan. Second, I made one statement just now. If possible, do not have loans at all. Why? Once again, the answer comes in structure. What I told you about this also is in structure. However long the term, one day you will not have a loan. You will be what is called debt free. So, being debt free is better than being in debt. Second thing is, I said, if possible, avoid loans totally. Why? You see, you must be taught here, I don't know if they are doing it, about something called personal financial planning, insurance, emergency fund. You have read at least those things, retirement funding, general investment funding, other objectives like filing returns on time, making a will, succession, all those things. Now, the purpose of investment planning or financial planning is to put you in control of your financial lives. Correct? So, the more effective you are, the more I am in control. The more assets I build, the more independent I am. The less I have to depend on other people. It is a beautiful saying. If you work on an investment, it will work for you. So, your investment which you own, is your own. One day it may work for you in terms of returns, until then in terms of building your wealth. You are in control of your financial life. The moment you have loans, someone else is in control of your financial life. That is the structure that you have to understand. There are two controls that they will exercise over you. One, you have to pay interest on the money you borrowed. Number two, you have to repay the principal. So, to the extent of payment of interest and repayment of principal, the lender is in control of your financial life. You may say, I have got 10 lakhs of savings, everything put together, from balance in my savings account to my retirement benefits to my equity and stock mutual fund portfolio. I've got 10 lakhs of savings. But if you have got a 6 lakh loan, then you don't have 10 lakhs of savings. It's an illusion. You've got 10 minus 6, only 4 lakhs of savings. That's called the net worth. Net worth is assets minus liabilities. To put it in simple terms, let's not make it complicated. So my net worth, I may think when I see my total investment statement, it is 10 lakhs. Sorry, no. And if I've got 11 lakhs of loans, then I have no net worth. Or to put it more correctly, I have a negative net worth, which is a very horrible situation to be in. So loans means the structure is loss of control. I'm not saying everybody should be a control freak. I myself am completely against control freaks. I'm a born liberal. But the right amount of control over your financial lives you must have. Others should not have. So the structure of a loan is the lender has greater control than the borrower. Second, open-ended loans can keep on increasing in value. Very often they carry much higher rates. Term loan, examples of term loans. You buy a vehicle, 3-year, 5-year, maximum 7-year. You take an education loan, whatever, they'll give you some term. From the time you start working, you have to repay within 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is. It all depends. They are also quite flexible these days. Housing loan. Whatever it is, there is a start date, there is an end date, and you know the whole game. Now, let's forget about this. The lesson we have to learn so far is, if possible, avoid loans. If not possible, avoid open-ended loans. Take everything as a term loan. Get into the discipline of having to repay, not just pay interest, but also repay principal along with interest, so that one day you are debt free. Then the next game is to understand what is the structure of your equated monthly investment, installment, equated monthly installment. We are still only on structure now, we have not come to strategy. Equated monthly installment, if you see a long-term housing loan, you have taken 50 lakh rupees loan to buy a flat worth about 70 lakh rupees. 20 lakhs you put in, 50 lakhs you took a loan. Roughly the repayment is 50,000 rupees per month. If you see, 48 to 49,000 rupees of your first month's installment will be interest. Only 1,000 or 2,000 will be principal. So let's say it's a 30-year loan. You have diligently paid every month, first full 1 year, 12 installments of 50,000, second year, the next 12 installments of 50,000, 3 years, 4 years have passed. Then you see your statement. You will find that the principal has hardly moved. From 50, it has hardly come to 45 or 44. Why? Almost everything you are paying is interest. If you come to, in a 30-year loan, installment number 300 upwards, 300 to 360. 300 to 360 is also 5 years, 60 months. There you will find the opposite happening. Out of your 50,000, 40,000, 42,000 will be principal at that time. Now, why are housing loans structured like this? Housing loans are structured like this because of inflation. The money that you are paying today is much more valuable than the money that you are paying after 20 years, 15 years, 10 years. And the bank knows that. The bank knows that it is going to give you 50,000 installment 23 years from now is much less valuable than the 50,000 rupee repayment installment of today. So they would like to collect their profits in advance. If you default in the 6th year or 7th year, 6 or 7 years you have paid diligently, then you default. They still have a huge amount of principal to recover from you, which compensates them for the ill effects of inflation. And therefore, once you know what the game is, what is the strategy that we must adopt to get the best out of loans? First is control the amount of loan you take. How do you control it? In my opinion, other authors may differ, but in my opinion, the total equated monthly installments, whatever you are repaying, should not be more than 25% of net income. Let me give you an example. In a family of 4, father is working, mother is working. Father's net income, that is income after deductions and after taxes, is 60,000 rupees. Mother's net income is also 60,000 rupees. So what is the total? 1,20,000. 25% of 1,20,000 is 30,000 rupees. The loan they take should have a equated monthly installment. Your repayment should not exceed 30,000 rupees. Okay, thereby you put some discipline on yourself about how much of loan you are taking. There are people with 50% of these kind of ratios. Total net income is 1.2. We are paying 60,000 rupees per month. Especially if they are children. Tomorrow something happens, one person loses a job, some temporary setback. You may have a problem with repaying the loan, especially long-term loans. It's not a joke to pay for 240 months, 300 months, 360 months. Then there'll be penalties, there'll be other things. So The first thing is to limit the amount of loan that I'm taking. So exercise a control over the amount of the quantum. Second is, if you are taking a loan, it should only be for any productive purpose, not for an unproductive purpose, not to go on a holiday, not to celebrate a wedding, not to entertain friends in five-star hotel. It should be for a productive purpose. It should be for establishing something that has the potential to be productive. And the two things that come to mind readily there are, one is an education loan. The second could be a housing loan. Housing loan is the easier to understand. You're buying a house, you're buying a real estate asset. Let it be an apartment, let it be a plot of land, a house in a plot of land. Let it be anything. Over a period of time, 1, 2, 3 decades, it appreciates significantly in value, and it appreciates at a rate that is higher than inflation. Education loan is much more controversial. In the old days, if you really got a good education, you were made. 50 years back, when I was 10 or 11 years old, first of all, we had not heard of anyone studying outside India. Those things didn't happen. If at all it happened, it would be mainly doctors. For medical higher studies, a lot of people used to go from India to the United States, and anybody who went there was made. Anyone else, it was too expensive for the normal people. Today it's almost very easy to conceive of an education abroad for most people. That only shows you that the demographics have shifted. More and more people have become middle class or slightly higher than middle class. However, the point I'm making is, you went outside for any studies, and I repeat, any studies, need not be management, need not be education, need not be engineering. Any studies, in your line, you were made. I know somebody who's senior to me, must be now well into his 70s, but I happen to know him. He went and did a post-graduation in English literature in the United States, specializing in creative writing. Then he did a PhD, and then he spent nearly 4 or 5 decades of his life as a tenured professor in the US, doing fabulously well. So even what we look down upon here, perhaps an MA in literature or something else, at that time, if you just had the good fortune of going, you could do it. So it made eminent sense to take an education loan of any kind, either an education loan from an institution for the payment of interest, or some help from own family members. Today the situation is not so. We are seeing a lot of uncomfortable instances where people have got a good education abroad, not a bad education, reputed institutions and universities, and they are not getting jobs. They have to struggle to get jobs. It is no longer a given. It is no longer a given. In the old days, I used to tell people, as far as possible, try to get into a line that you like, where you are interested. Today also I say the same thing, but only in the context of entrepreneurship. If you want to start out on entrepreneurship, please get into a line that you like. But where work is concerned, I would say get into any work. Some of the work you may not like, but I'm not saying you should stay in that work, but get into work, get into the experience of what working life is as soon as possible. Get those all important 1, 2 or 3 years of experience on your resume. That is important. So At one time, if you took a loan to do an MBA, you could get appreciably higher return. Today, I am not so sure. If you take this example, one person is a BCom, the other person is an MBA. The BCom starts work immediately after BCom. The MBA also, let's say, is a BCom. But the MBA does not start work, goes for an MBA. Finishes 2 years later. In the meantime, this BCom has already got 2 years of experience. Might have changed one job also. I am finding in numerous instances where the salary here is higher than here. This person does not have a loan, this person has a loan, which further worsens the equation. You have to be very careful. Do a lot of homework. It is not studying for studying's sake. When you get back after your MBA, you may find nobody wants a person without experience. This Johnny has 2 years of experience. That assets can sometimes be invaluable. I'm not saying don't study further, I'm not saying that, but be careful. Think about it carefully. Getting into a line, experiencing working life, getting that salary, getting that experience. Then once you have the experience, okay, I am not too happy with the line of work I'm doing now. Definitely look for a better line with better pay, a line more suited to you. In the meantime, nobody prevents you from doing higher qualifications privately. And qualifications need not be senseless degrees and postgraduate degrees. They can be meaningful certifications. They can be relevant, they can be upskilling. That one word that the government of India uses repeatedly, even I like that. They have got the right idea. Increasing your skills. Two people, one having the skills, one not having the skills. Qualifications may be same. Sometimes one may be an MBA, one may be a BCom, but this person may have the skill that I need, that I'm looking for. So, when you learn to think in terms of structure, you learn to think in terms of not just education of any sort. You learn to think in terms of objectives. You are doing an internship in a company called Simplus. If you see the Simplus investment philosophy, it's always in terms of objective. If you learn a subject called personal investment planning, they will tell you the same thing. What are the 4 objectives of investment? Increase of wealth, earning of tax efficient income, maintaining high liquidity, ensuring safety. Objectives. So you have objectives, you are aware of the structure, you have a strategy, you have a path, you better fulfill your objective. It's a beautiful, virtuous circle. One thing is reinforcing the other. So coming back to strategies in depth. Number 1, this is the best strategy. Don't get into that. Number 2, don't get here, if at all take here. Number 3, understand that all these cautions are because you have to be in control. When you have a loan, somebody else is in control. Number 4, it should be a productive purpose. Don't blindly go into an education loan thinking it is productive. Earlier this year, on the internet, there were a lot of emails made public. Our top management institutes, I'm talking about the IIMs. So many of their graduates of the class of 2023 had not been placed. And they have spent a fortune there on them. So don't blindly go into it. Sometimes getting a job with a basic qualification, upskilling yourself, trying to get to the next would be a better strategy. On a housing loan, yes, real estate has got a very, very old track record. The stock market may be about 420 years old. Real estate has been there almost as long back as civilization. And real estate teaches us that it is also a very productive asset, though we have to carefully examine the structure of real estate, which I'll be doing after this. But apart from the productive purpose, the next strategy is prepayment. Once you understand structure, the strategy just presents itself without any problem. What is prepayment? I told you that when you pay your equated monthly installments, EMIs, you're paying every new installment is largely interest, very little principal in the beginning. When I say in the beginning, for several years, maybe for the first decade and a half. So what should you do? You should focus on prepaying the loan. In small installments, it's all right. How do you do it? You get a year-end bonus. I get 1 lakh. Okay, little bit you must enjoy. Out of that, 50,000 rupees prepay. 50,000 rupees keep for any meaningful enjoyment purpose. You change a job, you change a country. Now you are able to save more. Immediately increase the EMI. You are paying 50,000. Now can I pay 1 lakh per month? You can change your EMI. Can I now pay 1 lakh a month? You get an inheritance. You get a large gift from someone. Whatever lump sums you get, part of that lump sum immediately prepay. How long should prepayment be a priority? Prepayment should be a priority until the original principal halves. Example, you took 50 lakhs. What's the principal? Some of it will decrease because of your EMIs. But prepayment should be a priority until this original amount of the loan becomes 25 lakhs. Once it becomes 25 lakhs, what should you do? Continue your original EMI. If your original EMI was rupees 50,000, don't reduce this. Continue it at 50,000 itself. But when your principal has come down to 25 lakhs, what will you find with each new EMI? Substantial portion of this goes towards repayment of principal. And your term collapses. 30 years can become 20 years, 18 years or even less. And here you are beating the banks at their own game. If they are front loading interest, it means you are paying very little principal. If now you are prepaying, what are you doing? You are tilting the balance. I am paying more principal. Therefore, in the final tally, what is the meaning of a 30-year loan being paid off in 18 years? It only means that you paid much less interest. Finally, you get it? So, this is what I mean by, you understand the structure, you know your strategy, this is your strategy, the power is with you. So, have you kind of understood the game in housing loans? Now let's get very seriously into the investment side of of this whole game here. And the first investment that I'm going to take is real estate. After all, you have joined this internship here with this company to learn essentially about investment. And nothing changes. In fact, you can use these concepts much better in investment because we have used them, at least we are most familiar in using them in investment. So let us look at real estate, and I am looking at real estate in India. Real estate in India. Structure. The first two words that come to the mind when you consider Indian real estate are, at least to my mind, one of the lousiest, murkiest fields you can get into. With even today, you can have your RERA, you can have whatever you want, absolutely and utterly primitive structures. You want to buy 1.5 crores of shares, you want to put 10 lakh rupees in 15 leading companies. If you have opened your demat account, which is not at all difficult to open, give photographs, PAN, Aadhaar, fill up a form, they'll open your demat account in 2-3 days. Go to a broker, pay the broker 1.5 crores, say these are the 15 companies, 10 lakhs each, few buttons will be pressed, the shares you'll get a contract note, next day or the day after, all the shares will be in your demat account. End of story. Try buying a flat like that, with that kind of ease. That to an apartment, a prestigious builder. I'm not talking about some small 2-bit property somewhere in some rural area. No, in the city. Try doing it with that kind of ease. So for selling, your 1.5 crores has become 3 crores in the stock market. Even lesser effort. Just place an order, email or whatever is acceptable to the world. Clean out my portfolio. Few buttons are pressed. 1 day or 2 days later, 3 crores is in your bank account. Try selling a flat like that. With that ease, press a few buttons, will a flat magically appear before you or disappear and money come into your bank account? Now, this situation is also there in the foreign countries. Real estate is real estate. It's a physical asset as opposed to an equity share or a mutual fund, which is a financial asset. But their systems are far, far better. If you want to know one of the worst, absolutely worst things in a real estate transaction, absolutely worst. Think of someone who has got a property worth 10 crores, who is selling it. It's worth going to the sub-registrar's office and seeing. They'll be sweating, fretting, moving up and down because the seller will not be willing to sit there at the chair to do the electronic registration until the seller knows that my money has come into my bank account. The buyer will say, no, we have sent by RTGS. So you're waiting there for that all important beep that it has come to your bank account. If it doesn't, and then they have taken an appointment for the registration. If it doesn't come in time, they'll be quarreling with each other. It is difficult to think of a more third-rate way of conducting real estate transactions. Do you know how it's done in the advanced countries? Nobody is bothered about this. There are organizations recognized by the real estate regulator or the government which are empowered to open what are called escrow accounts. I'm a buyer. I just put my money there. I don't pay the seller. Escrow account. Escrow account is linked to the registrar's office. If the deal takes place, money goes to the bank account of the seller. If the deal does not take place, last minute there was some hitch, does not take place, money comes back to the account of the buyer. Over. Nobody is fretting, waiting. Next is the first thing that you have to understand in real estate is it is murky, it is primitive. Why is it so in India? Why is it so? Stock market you have no problem. Mutual funds you have no problem. Real estate you have problem. The basic problem is in our constitution. Under the Constitution of India, Banking is a central subject. The securities markets are central subjects. Income tax is a central subject. But real estate is a state subject. Which means the rules in Karnataka are different from the rules in Kerala, are different from the rules in Maharashtra, are different from the rules in West Bengal. We have RERA. First of all, we should know the meaning of RERA. RERA is only a model act. RERA Karnataka is different from RERA Maharashtra. The regulator at the state level. Whereas you have a problem with mutual funds or with the stockbroker. Stock exchanges, all India. SEBI, all India. You have a bank. You can lodge a complaint. RBI, all banks, all over India. RBI, one regulator. There is no banking regulator for Karnataka which is different from Tamil Nadu. So, unfortunately, we have this structure. And this structure is what results in a number of drawbacks in real estate which we must very seriously understand in order to be careful about real estate transactions. Some of the drawbacks are exceptionally poor liquidity. My nephew bought an apartment in Netherlands recently. He briefed me about the process. I was just thinking, what a fantastic transparent process. Somebody wants to sell, you advertise on a government website, official. Buyer and seller need not meet, no brokers. The government will give what was the last value there in that place. Everything is transparent at the press of a button. Now you are a buyer, you consult a few people, satisfy yourself that yes, this is a good location, this is the kind of thing I want to buy. See whether the price that was indicated by the government is something acceptable to you. See whether the price might have changed up or down, and then you have to put in a bid. Other buyers also may put in a bid. One buyer does not know what the other buyer is doing. A day comes when you have to close out at the highest bid, will get it. So you have to bid intelligently and you have to bid carefully. The more you want it, the higher should be your bid. You should also think of or try to gauge what could be the demand for this particular apartment. Will other people bid at a certain level? And once that is done, the process is so simple. You put in the money, you have to put the housing, the bank that is lending you the funds for it will put in their money. You are not there trying to find out what is the seller's account, another account. You know where you have to put in your money. You get your title deeds, and one day you are the owner of the property. No endless processes waiting the whole day at uncomfortable government offices. So, the liquidity here is very poor. Nobody actually has an idea. The government has got its valuations, what they call the guidance values. They can be absolutely, completely far away from the actual market values. Second, title. This is one place where we are, this is the word to be, primitive. You can buy a property. Years later, somebody may ask for the title, file a suit. I'm handling a case. An Indian lady married an American. They lived for decades abroad. Now they have moved permanently to India to look after her old mother. Very noble of them, and the husband here is quite happy living in Bangalore. In 2010, they had purchased 85 cents of land within Puttur city, registered in their name, legal opinion obtained, registered in their name, and they had forgotten about it. Now I advise them, don't keep that thing there, sell it. It's more of a headache there. So I went with them. We saw the plot, everything is fine. and we talked to one or two of the neighbors who were quite helpful and friendly. And then I engaged. Luckily for me, I knew a good young lawyer in Puttur, and he had one or two friends who were real estate developers. So they came, met, discussed, little bargaining this side, that side. A price was fixed. The price was fixed, and they said, okay, we'll do the registration. The buyer asked this couple, do I have your permission just to clean the place once? I'll get a JCB and clean it. They said, please do it and we will pay for that cleaning because we also want to give you the plot in a correct. Understand, 14 years have passed since they bought the property. Moment the JCP of the buyer arrived there and started doing some work, some 3-4 people rushed, what are you doing? There is a stay order on this. This is part of a court case. So I asked the couple, they said, no, we don't know anything about it. Then the lawyer said, okay, if they say court case, let us halt the work. I'm a lawyer, I'll go to the court and find out. Then it appears that the property belonged to a certain couple, both of whom are not there. And they have 3 children, a boy and 2 girls, brother and 2 sisters. And the brother has sold the property to this couple as if he is the only legal heir. He has suppressed the fact that there are 2 sisters. And upon discovering it, and this was not the only plot, many plots like that were sold because they were large landholders. And now they have filed a case. And they had sent notices to this couple also, but they didn't even know their addresses, where they are. So now the lawyer whom I had engaged, we signed what is called a wakalat. Wakalat is a form empowering him to act as their lawyer in the case also. So he appeared in the court and said, these people were not in the know at all. They have come from abroad and they have bought in good faith, they have paid money. Other things we'll see later, but we started cleaning the place because we had in turn sold it. And we didn't know that there were all these complications. Now they will get in, he will dig up all the papers, we'll see what the case is. But I told this couple, if what those 2 ladies are saying is true, you're in trouble because they are entitled to it. 14 years after your bond, this happens. 13 years, sorry. This arose in 2023. We are in 24. Abroad it can't happen. All the land records are constantly verified and noted there. Everything is an apple pie order. You need not worry about title. Once you have gone through the correct procedure, then a large amount is required for a purchase. There are some pretty good 3-bedroom properties coming up in Bangalore now. 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom in real prime locations. You will find if it is 1800, 2000 square feet, with all expenses, it will be 1.5 crores. Now, supposing the real estate market really collapses, you want to buy another apartment, you still need, even if it has come from 1.5 to 1.3 or 1.2, you still require another 1.2 crores to get the, if you have got just 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs, you can't make another purchase. So, large amount for the first purchase, large amount for an additional purchase, even if it is to take advantage of a price dip, then black money. Lot of people today file their taxes, they have no black money, they are very diligent. They find that they can neither buy nor sell properties without a black money component. They come to me. I tell them only one thing, never be in a hurry. You keep on repeating that, no, in my transaction, let it be a purchase transaction, let it be a sale transaction. In my transaction, there will be no money, black. If you are not in a hurry, before long you will get some buyer who will agree to pay everything in proper accounted money. But the fact remains that there is a black money component in real estate. Next point, high stamp duties. This is, let's say, apartment. This is a equity portfolio, equity mutual fund or whatever portfolio. You put 100 lakhs here, you put 100 lakhs here. You buy this, it straight comes into your demat account, or you get a statement of account for your 100 lakhs. Now we also put 100 lakhs here. In Karnataka at least, the stamp duty is 6% plus something. You will have to pay another 6 to 7 lakhs for stamp duty, lawyers' fees, registration charges, blah blah blah. This is what you have to. So what you see is what you get. Here, what you see, no. You have to pay that extra money. It's very tax inefficient. I'm not talking about income taxes or capital gains taxes. That's different. Just to get the asset registration. It's like buying a vehicle. Everything looks so nice. Vehicle is costing 8 lakhs, 10 lakhs. Your first shock is when you get the lifetime tax bill. What you have to pay the government. Second shock will be for insurance. Something like that. Here also there is a shock. And it can be on larger amounts, it can be very, very punishing. This is one of the reasons why there is so much of black money in real estate transactions. Then I told you about the formalities. Time consuming, primitive, cumbersome. All the formalities. And next is, this is important to understand, real estate may be a good investment, but it has to be different from stocks or mutual funds because real estate is a physical asset. Okay, piece of land, yes, piece of land, 4 boundaries. Tomorrow your compound wall may be knocked down, tomorrow your fence may be cut, tomorrow you may need to clean the property. Apartment, there is maintenance. Once in a way, painting, other things have to be done, various repairs, physical. Your demat account shares or your mutual funds that come in your electronic consolidated account statement, also called e-CAS. E-CAS is a consolidated statement that comes. They don't require carpenters, plumbers there. Your physical real estate may require it. So when we examine the structure of real estate, what we are confronted with is 2 categories of drawbacks, which we very often overlook, and then we regret later because we failed to examine the structure of the real estate market itself. What are these 2 categories of drawbacks? First is the obvious drawbacks. What are the obvious drawbacks? Same thing I told you. Some title problem may be there, poor liquidity, large amount to invest, large amount to make an additional purchase, black money, high stamp duty, time consuming, cumbersome purchase and sale formalities, administrative difficulties. If you think back, these are things that at some point of time you have heard someone talking about. Now let me tell you what are not so obvious. You know what is not so obvious? I have an apartment costing 1 crore rupees. I am getting 20,000 rupees rent from it. So I am getting 2,40,000 of rent. This is what we think. My own eyes were opened many years ago because I held the power of attorney of a cousin of mine who's in Canada, and she has a 2-bedroom apartment here, which I was to give out on rent. And she had an NRO account. She is the first holder of the account. I am the second holder of the account. Even if you are a resident, you can be the second holder when it's your own family member. In an NRO account, non-resident ordinary. Now this account was a real good thing because whatever entries were coming there were only of that flat. She has no other asset, no other income, no fixed deposits, nothing in India. So when you wrote up the passbook, on every month, she had a good tenant and has to pay money. Let's say it started at some 10,000, 12,000 rupees per month. Today it's some 18 or 20,000. So 12,000 rupees per month is coming in. 1,44,000. She has earned 1,44,000. And you think this is my income. But then your eyes fall on the next column. Monthly maintenance, 2,000 rupees per month. It's a small apartment, only 12 or 13 apartments, no economies of scale. Suddenly it is not 12,000 rupees per month, that alone has made it 10,000. Then there is property tax at the end of each year, now about 5 or 6,000 rupees. Then various repair charges. Then tenants leave. New tenant will not come in unless you have given at least one coat of paint, 50,000, 40,000. Once again, on the income side, what you see is not what you get. Dividends that you get on an equity portfolio are after all expenses. You are not called upon to spend something out of those dividends to maintain and safeguard your portfolio. Not so in rental income. What is the trick that happens to us? The common man is not an accountant. The common man is not an accountant. So what happens is, here the rental is coming into my SB account. Suddenly I've got some carpenter's job to be done there. 4,000 rupees bill. Where do I pay that bill from? I pay it from my normal SB account, where my salary comes in, my other income comes in. I do not maintain a book of account or books of account only specific to my real estate asset. Do you get me? Are you understanding this? Here, luckily, even I was a victim of the same thing. Luckily, because that one passbook had no other entries other than pertaining to that flat. So it was like a maintaining books of account only for that apartment. That's where I began to see how many expenses are there even when you are earning rent. Once in a way, the exterior of the building will have to be painted and whitewashed. Each person will be asked, pay 30,000, pay 40,000. Over a period of 5 to 10 years, when you take the total rent that you received, of course the rent will be more than the expenses. But there is a huge difference between what you thought was your income and what is your net income. Even without worrying about income tax, we'll leave that aside. So the first not so obvious point when you look at structure is, what you see may not be what you get on the income front. Second, thanks to something called securities transactions tax, which is so negligible as to be laughable, you've got a 10% long-term capital gains tax when you sell equity or equity mutual funds. Real estate, it is 20%. Of course, there is cost inflation indexing. But even with that, many times we find that the final figures of tax that people are paying are anything between 13% if they are lucky, right up to 15, 16, 17%. So taxes are higher. Third, what about administration? How much of your time and effort goes? When you're most busy or fast asleep, you'll get a call from the tenant, there is a leakage from the bathroom on top. There is some other damage that has happened, some lightning damage that has happened, this has happened, that has happened. Then you're running about. What if the owner of the flat is not in India? Now you're depending on somebody else, troubling somebody else. What if you have a plot of land? I had a case where a very old couple, the man was almost 80, and they had a property at Baikampadi, about 11 kilometers from here. valuable property. I begged of them to sell it because they have two children. Children are in the United States. They are not coming back. This man was not prepared to sell it. I really do not know what has happened because I've lost touch with him. I don't know even whether he's alive or dead now. But then his wife told me, I wish he had taken your advice and sold it, because now whenever he goes there, he feels so frustrated because when he goes there, somebody has knocked down his compound wall, somebody has shifted his survey stone, somebody has encroached from another side. At 80, are you going to fight the land mafia? Administrative difficulties, absentee landlordism, these are huge problems in real estate. Going along with that is the trend of many young people to leave India for prospects of employment or otherwise. Now, when they do so, they leave behind old parents to take care of real estate property. Over a period of time, they get so busy there. They are not coming back here to take care of all those things or even to claim those properties if the parents happen to pass away. In Canada and the United States, classic examples, you are lucky if you get 15 days of leave per year. 2 days of that goes traveling, 2 or 3 more days to recover from jet lag. You can handle your bank accounts, you can handle your demat accounts, your mutual fund investments. If your name has been correctly mentioned there as nominee, produce the death certificate. Yes, you can do it. You cannot tackle any real estate matter for 2 or 3 months. That's the minimum. It may take longer. You get a legal heirship certificate. If there's a will, then go for that. Probate. Do various things in real estate to take control of the property. It may need several visits. There are so many cases where properties have virtually been lost because of the kind of cumbersome formalities we have and because children were not even interested. So I had a classic case of a very wealthy person who had a lot of properties in India. Children are doing fabulously well in the United States. He used to always say, no, one day this will be of great value for them, etc. In the last 2 years, property after property he has sold. So I asked him, you were saying, I'll keep this, I'll do this. He said, no, I got a shock, he said. I got a shock. Because once, when we met the children for our annual some holiday, we asked them, what about all those properties in India? Why don't you come with us, learn whom to meet, I'll introduce you to the lawyer, the real estate people. Immediately they said, we are not interested in your properties in India. You deal with them in your lifetime. We did not buy them. Don't burden us with those properties. You have given us education. We are making our lives here. We are bothered about our work and our lives here. Then this man thought he's very smart. What he did was he calculated the value of the properties. And for your information, the value of the properties was upwards of 40 crores. He converted that into X number of million US dollars. At that time, probably 9 million US dollars or 8 million US dollars. And he told them, this is the worth of the property. And saying, that is where I got my shock. Both my children told me, we do not care what the worth of those properties are. Don't give us that trouble. So, when you examine the structure of real estate, you have to take all these things into consideration. So now we move from structure to strategy. How do you tackle real estate? And when you Now start employing strategies. You will realize that generally for most people, purchase of a real estate asset can be for two purposes. One is for consumption. The other is for investment. This is the first thing to understand. Okay? Purposes of real consumption means what? I consume it, means I use it. So, if I have an office, now I have an office. By some strange, what shall I say, good fortune, I own that office. It's not a rented office. So, I have a use for it, I own it, I'm consuming it. I'm not having to pay rent on it. Similarly, if you own your apartment or your house, you are consuming that house. That's why, if you, I don't know whether they have taught you here, when we do lists of assets for people to find out whether they are prepared for retirement, for example, the value of the one house in which that person is staying, house, apartment, call it what you want, is ignored. It's not taken as the value of the total value of your assets. Undoubtedly, it is an asset, undoubtedly, it has value. But it is not included in that, it's ignored. Why? You are consuming it. It's not part of your investment portfolio. You got this? So, consumption is when you're using it, and when you are using it, for example, as a house or a residence, you'll be surprised to know that the way you look at it, the strategy to be used is completely different from investment. Now, to understand the strategies, just like we have got two purposes, two broad purposes for which people may go in for real estate. One is to use it, one is to invest in it. Just like we have got that, people are also divided into two categories. People involved in real estate are also, or the common people fall under two categories. One is people who have no interest in real estate. I am not interested at all. Others are people who are keenly interested. So, if you have seen this, you have understood the structure of real estate. Take people. I fall in this category. I have absolutely no interest in real estate. In fact, you mention those two words, real estate, my blood pressure goes up. Why? Because I am not interested in real estate. I am not in the real estate business. I don't want to be in the real estate business. Half my life goes sorting out people's real estate problems, advising them, sending them to the right lawyer, examining their papers, which I have no interest in doing that work. There are also people who are keenly interested in real estate. Such people, by all means, should go in for more and more real estate, and you'll find that most of these people will go in for it as an investment. Now, let's take this first category. We have no interest in real estate. What is the best advice? What is the best advice given to people who have no interest in real estate? You should own, if at all you want to own real estate, you should own only real estate for which you have a use. This is the finest piece of advice ever given. I should have a use for it. If I do not have a use for it and I'm not interested in real estate, don't go for real estate. Examples. One use is what we think is universal. We want a roof over our head. Today that is being increasingly challenged and I'm very happy about it. Lot of young people who are earning well, who can afford to take a housing loan and buy real estate, are not buying it. They are saying we don't want to be tied down. especially in the large cities, in the metros. In Bangalore, classic is Bangalore. There are people spending 3 or 4 hours of their life each day being stuck in traffic. After a time they say nothing doing. We don't want to be tied down to a flat and then go 2 hours up and down. Anytime we change a job or if we get transferred from one office to another, we'll abandon this. We'll take a new place on rent, which is 10 to 15 minutes walking distance or 5 minutes commuting distance from our place of work. Your quality of life goes up. I know one couple, supremely talented. Between husband and wife, their earnings are 7 to 8 lakh rupees per month. They are in their mid-30s. Supremely talented. Total income is 7 to 8 lakh rupees per month. Any bank or other will throw themselves to give them a housing loan. That's the kind of repayment capacity they have. They said they are living in a comfortable 3-bedroom apartment. 1 bedroom is used as a kind of an office when they are working from home. Other bedroom is for them to live. 3rd is a guest room because they have got a lot of friends and others who drop in. They pay 60,000 or so rent, which they can comfortably afford. They say anytime, tomorrow we may choose to go leave India. Just pack up your things, sell off your things somewhere on some online auction platform, buy. Tell the landlord, end it. We will not be somewhere 15,000 kilometers away worrying about our apartment. So this is sensible. Let me tell you this is sensible. But there's another category for whom we should own our own home. We get some kind of mental peace, some kind of security. This is natural, nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with both categories. Structure only tells us, structure does not tell us what is good, bad, ugly, what is right or wrong. It just holds a mirror to us. What is the truth? What is the real situation? What is the game that is being played? That is structure. Structure is not judgmental. We have to know. If I feel like buying real estate, but I have no interest in it, I must only buy real estate for which I have a use. Quickly, let me give you 3 examples. One is obvious. I want a place to stay, an apartment. So I must try to own that apartment. Tick. Second, take a chap like me. I need a place to stay. I also need a place to work. I must try to own my house and my office. Third example. Think of a person who manufactures and sells furniture. This person needs an apartment or house to stay, a place little away, not in a good locality, but a large old house or shed for the workmen to prepare the furniture. Small kind of a workshop. Then the person needs a showroom quality space in a very good locality of the city. Prime locality, showroom quality, where the display of the furniture is the best advertisement. So as people are going up and down, they see the board, they see the actual pieces of furniture, they make a mental note. Here's a furniture shop. Whenever we want, we should visit it. This person must try to own the house or the apartment, that compound or house where the workmen are preparing the furniture, as well as the showroom quality over and above as time goes on. So this is the first thing that you have to understand. What is the second thing that you have to understand? We'll take the easy thing. How do you buy an apartment or a house? Between 2000 and 2004, when I was doing a consultancy in Bombay, I met some of the brightest minds there on real estate. And one person who had a real depth of knowledge of real estate, he said, "You want the truth? I will tell you what I will do if I am buying an apartment." He's saying, "It may sound silly to you." I said, "Nothing is silly. Let me hear it." He said, "You know what I will do? I will tell the real estate broker to go there in advance, just once clean up the flat, just simple sweeping and swapping, nothing else. And then just open the windows and keep before I get in. Then I will go, I will open the door, step inside the living room or whichever first room you get. And there I will just stand for about 10 to 15 seconds, not more than that, 10 to 15 seconds. And I will ask myself, what is the feeling I get when I've opened that door and I stand here? Is it a positive feeling? Is it an indifferent feeling? Or a negative feeling? Something about this, this is not what I want to step into. If it's a negative feeling, don't waste time, just walk away. If it's indifferent, okay, examine it a little bit, but 75% walk away. You are going to be going in and out of that place numerous times if you're going to live there. The feeling when you come in should be, okay, this is the kind of apartment I would like to enter, like to live in. Second point he made was, always take your family to whichever family is going to reside in that. If it is wife and children, fine. If it is one or either her parents or your parents or whoever it is, they are going to be with you all. Take those people who are going to be there when you go. Get their impression. Then you look at the location, the surroundings, the facilities, if there are children, whether there are nearby schools or colleges, markets, conveniences, blah, 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 all that you look at later. And you will not believe I have given this advice over the last 20 odd years to numerous people who wanted to buy apartments, and they have really thanked me for it. Now you can ask one very intelligent question at this time. What about, yes, the building is going to be 35 stories, but right now only some foundation work is going on. So what do we enter, what do we experience, what do we see? The answer to that is, however crazy it sounds, it is one of the most foolish things that you can ever do to buy an incomplete apartment or an incomplete house. That is not an asset. There is a very old saying in real estate, no real estate person will ever tell you about it. But this is one of the most things you should get by heart. Buy a property, not a promise. If it's an apartment, it should be built, completed, and they should be able to show you what is called the occupancy certificate. Under construction, pay in installments, all that crap is only a promise. If the builder abandons the project midway, there are so many instances. Your hefty investment is endangered. I know a person who was a very humble taxi operator in Bombay. He used to drive, and he had another half a dozen cars which people known to him would drive, and they would share profits. This poor chap bought an apartment in Bangalore taking a loan. It was something like a 11 or 12 story building about 20 years ago. The builder got into problem and ran away. Project was never completed. Here the man loses his property. That side, he has to continue paying his housing loan. Can you ever think of a worse situation? I am paying a loan taken on a property I am not going to get at all. Never make this mistake. So you see the wealth of wisdom that was in what that old man in Bombay, decades in real estate, told me. When you enter completed place, never mind if it is not furnished, that's okay. Empty flat is okay. It's reasonably clean, all windows open. When you get in, only you sense how much of ventilation there is, what natural light is there or not there. You are going to be entering and exiting that place so many times. You should be happy every time you are getting in. And you can get that experience only in a completed project, only in a property, not in this. So when you have no interest, buy it only when you have a use for it. And at least where a residential property is concerned, inspection, first impression, go with family. Who are the people who are going to stay there? They should go. Not everybody you may not have a unanimous opinion, but at least the majority. This is very important, and this is something we ignore at our peril. So, second, what about price? You buy a mutual fund, you know what's the net asset value. You buy a stock, you can see it on the screen, the flickering, the share prices. You can even tell the broker, okay, I want it at this price. If you get it, fine. If you don't get it, fine. What about price? How do you determine price? If you are using it for residential purposes, if the whole family that is going to stay in that apartment really likes that apartment, then you'll be surprised to know price is not important. If the seller is quoting a fancy price, your estimate is 1 crore, but the seller says, I am not going to part with it for 1 rupee less than 1 crore 10. No amount of bargaining is going to move him. You are not interested, go, I'll sell it to somebody else, but nothing less than 1 crore 10 lakhs. You have done all your fair market value calculations, consulted everybody, you have come out with an idea that it is only 100 lakhs. If the whole family is unanimous that this is the place where we'll be happy, this is the place we want, nice locality, nice place is airy, natural light, roomy, nice, the first impression itself is nice. No harm in paying that extra money and buying it. Why? Because the happiness of the family cannot be counted in terms of money. Now we leave this and we come to real estate as an investment, which is the last thing I'm handling today. None of the things I told you here apply to this. All what I told you is when you are consuming the asset, as an office, as a house, especially as a house. Where investment is concerned, investment principles apply. And in that brilliant book, A Random Walk Down Wall Street, Burton Malkiel gives you the formula to determine when you are buying a property as an investment. And to buy a property as an investment, it's very simple, a simple formula. The rental yield should be equal to or greater than the yield on short-term bonds. See how different it is when we look at the strategy for consumption versus investment. Investment, it is nothing but a formula. If it ticks the box, fine. If not, reject it. What is this rental yield? Take a bank deposit. You put 10 lakh rupees. You are getting 70,000 rupees of interest per year. What is the yield? 7%. Rate of interest. They call it rate of interest. Is 7%. Same principle. You got a 100 lakh flat. 20,000 rupees rent per month you are getting from it. 20,000 into 12 is 2,40,000. You paid 100 lakh for it, you are getting 2,40,000. 2,40,000 divided by 100,000 into 100, 2.4%. Same thing. My principal in the bank deposit, I am getting so much interest. My investment in the property, I am getting 2.4. Therefore, it is 2.4%. Correct? Burton Malkiel is reminding us that the rental yield should be equal to or greater than the yield on short-term bonds. Now, people not familiar with the bond market may not know the yield on short-term bonds at a particular time. For your information, it varies between 6.8, 6.9% and 7% as of today. But there's a simple thumb rule for you to understand the yield on short-term bonds. You know what you do? Go to the State Bank of India website and find the SBI fixed deposit interest of more than 1 year and less than 2 years. Anything more than 1 year and less than 2 years is the interest rate, okay, of SBI. That is a beautiful proxy, anybody can get it, to know what is the yield on short-term bonds. Always get the latest. That figure also is about 7% or 6.8% or 6.7, whatever, 6. So let's just take it for our example today, which is a very realistic situation. 6.8%. 6.8% is the yield on short-term bonds. 2.4% is the rental yield, which is absolutely true today. Average rental yield in Mangalore, good location, flat. If you are buying today, paying today's money and giving it out on rent, you will get 2.4%. Burton Malkiel says, if you have to buy a flat in Mangalore for investment, not to live, for investment, the rental yield, this figure, should be equal to or greater than this figure. But what do we see? Significantly less. Therefore, I have been criticized for this, but I boldly make this statement again and again. Buying an apartment in Mangalore for investment is an act of financial insanity. What does this say about the Bangalore city? It says an excellent place to buy for this purpose. Obviously, if the rental yields are so low, people are prepared to buy and live. So it's probably a city with all the small city with big city amenities. And therefore, quality of life, it says something about it. This is fine because you're not looking at these kind of formulas. I'm talking about investment. Let me give you one more example to understand the rental yield and how it is used. I've got a friend of from 1995 onwards, so we're talking about 29 years. Excellent in real estate. When this man was in Bangalore, he was a stranger to Bangalore, but he had understood the dynamics of Bangalore. He also had one good real estate agent there. I still remember one evening he gave me a call, years ago, and he says, there are two shops available. They are old shops. But I've got an offer. Each shop I can get for 40 lakhs. Add another 3 lakhs, 3.5 lakhs, add 4 or 5 lakhs to do them up a little bit per shop. So 45 lakhs is my price with registration, everything. So 90 lakhs I'm going to pay. But I'm able to get 40,000 rupees rent per month on these shops, each of these shops, each. So we'll take only one shop. 45 is my cost. 40,000 is my rental income. 4.8 lakhs divided by 45 it exceeds 10%. Few things had to be deducted from there. Some maintenance and all were a little high. Whatever it is, when we did the calculation, minimum rental yield was 9%. At that time, the yield on short-term bonds was 7.5%. So here where rental yield was 9, minimum yield on short-term bonds that time was 7.5%. What do you think I told him? Buy it today before somebody else buys it. Nothing to think about. He also knows this. What I'm telling you, he also knows. Just wanted reassurance from a friend or confirmation. That's all. Just wanted confirmation. He's much more an expert than me on real estate. In fact, I'm not an expert at all on real estate. So, you understood? So coming back to end, have you understood a little better about structure in real estate today? And the strategy. When you buy, just let it be a good place. Let the family be happy there. Don't worry about price. If it's investment, rock solid investment principles have to apply. If they don't, walk away. Or look for places, other cities. Look for different types of real estate, commercial, shop, this, that. Until you get these, only then is it going to be worthwhile. If you are talking in terms of an investment. Okay. I don't know when I'll conduct my class, but it will be known to you by Aaron, or someone will inform you. We will continue with the structures. Next time we'll probably get into mutual funds. Thank you.